Hello guys, it's Modest Major here, bringing you some commentary over some Overwatch 2 gameplay. It's me playing as a tank. I'm trying to carry the team. It doesn't go too well, unfortunately. I try and put the team on my back as best I can. I'm playing D.Va. D.Va's a little bit broken. They're probably going to nerf both D.Va and Zarya, from what I've seen so far. Everyone's complaining about Zarya like crazy. Not as many people seem to be complaining about D.Va. I think Zarya is just considered more meta good right now across the board. The way she powers up her team, the way she powers up herself. I think she just hard counters people. I think the fact that she kind of counters D.Va means that she's just more polarizing in terms of what people see. Because D.Vas are getting beaten up by Zarya, it makes more sense to go with Zarya than it does with D.Va right now. So you're going to see more of her. Because she's winning that war. I think that has a big impact on the way that the matches are going. Nonetheless, I wanted to talk about something different today. I want to talk about skill-based matchmaking. It's something that's been on my mind for quite some time, and I haven't really had the right concept or right impetus to actually make a video about it, because honestly, I wasn't completely sure how I would approach going into it and saying, you know, exactly what I felt, because I didn't really have a good enough grounds to do so. Everyone's been debating it for the longest time. You've got one side of the argument saying that it's rubbish that people are complaining about it because it's obviously because they've, like, losing more games than they want to. They want to get these big pub stomps, and they shouldn't be allowed to, like, snuff out new players. And they should enjoy playing a more competitive setting, or at least a setting that matches their own skill. You can't be frustrated by the way other people play who are putting up a similar performance to yourself. That's one side of the argument. And then the other side of the argument is, hey, I'm not trying to be the best of the best. I kind of want to just see how I stack up against the entire world, not just this small population of people who are the exact same kill-death ratio or the exact same win ratio. I want to play people of all types of backgrounds and see how I stack up relatively to the world, not just a smaller sample size. And I think for me, like, I haven't wanted to get involved in the argument because it's one of those things where it's just, you're going to get that natural stigma against you of, well, you're just saying this because you've been losing recently, or, well, you're just saying this because you just want to ruffle stomp, you just want to post gameplays, la 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 la. And I didn't really have an argument that went above that, or a example that I could use that would demonstrate how I felt differently. I did feel differently. I mean, to be perfectly transparent, I do feel like skill-based matchmaking does take back from the overall experience. I've noticed like a serious like shift in enjoyment. But I just don't think I've had the best examples to illustrate why I feel that way. And it's been kind of always more of a feel thing than it has been a logic-based thing. But I thought of an example which kind of changed my mind on the opinion, made me a bit more entrenched in my beliefs about thinking skill-based matchmaking should probably go, or at the very least be like strongly reduced. And that is to do with the feeling of progression in a game. And I would take it with an example or a contrast with the Elder Scrolls series. Elder Scrolls actually had a bit of a controversy of their own with a similar concept where the better you get in the Elder Scrolls world, the more they'll start sending higher level bosses to you early on. So as you level up your skills, level up your stats, level up your character, all of a sudden you'll be going to caves that were at the beginning of the game, or at the beginning section of the game, and they'll be spawning master vampires there, or master conjurers, master trolls, master whatever it might be. They just have better enemies that are better equipped to deal with you. And a lot of people got frustrated because it was like, well, I'm trying to like advance in the game, I'm trying to get better at the game, and I don't really get that satisfaction feeling of, oh, okay, now I've got the power creep, now I've put a lot of time into it, and now I get to flex my character. You don't really ever get to flex how good your character has become. And I think the concept remains true in FPS games. I think, for me, I remember the example I would use going from Modern Warfare 2 to Black Ops 1. I started off really bad at Black Ops 1. I had a really good knack for the system of how Modern Warfare 2 worked. I would get a Predator missile, which was a 5-kill streak, which would lead into a Harrier airstrike because the kill streaks were stackable, and then the Harrier airstrike could lead into the Chopper Gunner. and it felt like this seamless flow of gameplay. It was pretty easy. All I needed to do was get a 5 kill streak, and chances are I could get a kill streak that like set the entire lobby on fire. It was pretty straightforward. I could play a bit defensive, play a bit careful for that 5 kill streak, but try and get it quicker than the rest of the lobby at the same time. And then all of a sudden I would be on my way to a chopper gunner. And when Black Ops 1 came along, the kill streaks were no longer stackable, and it was a bit difficult to get to those end kill streaks. I mean, realistically, I wanted a Blackbird if I wanted to get towards a chopper gunner, because Blackbird was one of the best ways of ensuring, hey, I can see where everyone is on the map. It showed everyone's position relative to the radar. In real time. It's not like radar when it blips. Blackbird actually shows you where they are. So if I could get the Blackbird, then I only needed to get 3 kills, and I could kind of wait corners, I could kind of bait approaches from people, and then that would lead me to getting my chopper gunner quicker. And it took me a really long time to be able to figure out a system where I could actually reliably or effectively get Blackbird. But once I did, all of a sudden the game like leveled up in fun, and it took a while to get to that point, but that was the payoff of sitting there with the game and grinding with it. I wasn't getting those huge kill streaks at the beginning because I wasn't that much better than the average player in Call of Duty Black Ops. But I could see the scale, and I'm not saying that there was no skill-based matchmaking. There's obviously an argument that comes against it. But for whatever reason, it felt less strong, and I imagine it was less strong. I could be delusional, but I'll just take an L for that if I am. But I would get to that point, and then all of a sudden, the game became way more satisfying, and I just wanted to play it and play it and play it and play it, and it felt like this huge RPG payoff of, wow, I've like built up my character. I would look at YouTube videos, I'd watch how other people play it because I was struggling with it, and I got this payoff of, you know, I did my research, I did my time, I would lose in these lobbies of general players, and I'd see the occasional players in lobbies, and I'd be like, how are they doing this? How are they like running a kill streak better than me? Or even playing with friends and being like, wow, how are these guys just so much better than me? I need to get better at this game. And I had this eventual huge payoff, which I didn't think was going to come. And the problem is in the newer Call of Duty games, or to be honest, this applies to any game, I just think Call of Duty is a really clear-cut example of showing it, is that towards the end status of a Call of Duty game or a Call of Duty cycle, you start to realize, like, well, I'm just getting better, and the lobby is getting better around me. If I get from a 1.0 ratio to a 1.2 ratio, then I'm playing people with a 1.2 ratio, and it's kind of leveling it out. I don't really get that huge payoff of realizing how my skill has come across. Not to mention, if you're going into an unranked playlist, you don't even have like a RPG payoff of like getting an increased rank, of getting increased weapons. You're kind of just like improving mindlessly, but not feeling that improvement because the world is improving around you. And I think it leads to the system where you really have, just reduced or diminishing returns, where it's like, oh, okay, I keep playing and I'm expecting to get more, but realistically, I'm not. I'm playing, and eventually I'll just stop because it feels like there's been no progression. I can't look from when I started the game and finished playing the game. And I'm like, you know what? I was struggling in these lobbies, but now I've gotten to a point where I'm like way, way, way better. I have to kind of judge that for myself and set my own standards where it's like, well, if I think about it from a perspective of if that team seemed potentially way harder than the previous team 10 games ago, and the fact that I'm keeping up with this team that maybe are a bit harder, that's kind of cool. You know, it doesn't have the same payoff to, oh, I can see where I stand against the entire world, the global, Call of Duty spectrum, and be like, I was better than, let's say, 1 in 3 people. Now I'm better than 1 in 2 people. Now I'm better than, most people, majority of people, etc. Like, I was better than 30%, now I'm better than 70%. Or I was better than none of them, and now I've actually improved to a degree where I can get kills. And just, it feels like the matchmaking experience is more dynamic, because every so often you're getting players that are one, side of the scale, which are like insane, masters tier, where you're like, oh my god, like that's the peak, that's what I can try and catch up to. And then the next game you're getting, oh my god, I'm so much better than this lobby. This feels so satisfying to show, oh, it was annoying that I got destroyed and raffle stomped by that master the last game, but now this game, it's actually playable. And I can come up from each day and be like, wow, I had a different experience in matchmaking, game by game, and it makes it feel more fresh, instead of feeling like I'm playing scrims with a limited set of players. Especially if you don't play games like Call of Duty. Call of Duty has a big player base, so it can influx players from, keep getting you new players, even if they're the same skill level. If you play like a Halo or a Gears of War, you start matching into the same players because they can't give you the new players, and there's a limited amount of people at your skill level because the population is just lower. And that just feels depressing to play. To be playing the same players, you're like, oh, I saw that name like the last 2 games. Why is he still here? Because they couldn't fill someone, so now you're playing someone that you've played. Obviously, that might be more extreme because I'm from the UK, but nonetheless, it's still kind of annoying. But anyway, I hope this rant made some sort of sense to you, and I hope you guys somewhat see where I'm coming from. I've been Modest Major. Peace out.